We're all seeing this massive global energy transition happen right before our eyes. But underneath all the solar panels and the electric cars, there's a new kind of gold rush going on. And it is this incredibly high stakes geopolitical race for the materials that are quite literally going to build our future. So, what's really driving this historic shift? If you're thinking of the obvious answers, well, you're only seeing a tiny part of the picture. It's not just about capturing the sun and harnessing the wind. Nope. The real story is about the elements themselves, the actual raw ingredients you need to build the machines that make all this green energy possible in the first place. We're talking about stuff like lithium, that super light metal that's at the heart of pretty much every battery in every EV and smartphone out there. Then you've got cobalt. That's the critical ingredient that makes sure those batteries are stable and that they actually last a long time. And of course, the rare earths. Now, funny enough, they aren't actually that rare, but this group of 17 elements is absolutely essential for creating the powerful magnets you find inside electric vehicle motors and wind turbines. Put them all together, and they're what we call critical minerals. These are the fundamental building blocks, not just for clean energy, but for almost every single piece of modern tech we depend on, everything from our defense systems to our digital lives. And the demand for them? It's just exploding. To hit our climate goals by 2040, the International Energy Agency says the world is going to need 5 times more lithium. Demand for graphite is set to double, and for cobalt, it'll jump by 50%. I mean, this isn't some gradual little shift, it's a sheer vertical climb. Okay, let's really dig into this, because this incredible demand highlights a massive, massive vulnerability in our global supply chain. The thing is, the issue isn't that we're running out of these minerals. The problem is way more strategic than that. The IEA just nails it with this quote. These minerals, they're found all over the world, but the power to actually process them into materials we can use, that's held by a very, very small number of players. And really, that concentration of power, it all points to one country, China. I mean, after decades of really smart strategic industrial policy, its dominance is just staggering. Get this, China refines over 90% of the world's graphite and rare earths, 75% of all cobalt, and 70% of the lithium chemicals we need for batteries. You see, this isn't just a big market share, it's a global choke point. Let's just take lithium. It's a perfect example of this choke point. Mining the raw stuff is spread out all over the place, Australia, Chile, Argentina. But to turn it into something that can actually go in a battery, the vast majority of that raw material has to be shipped to one place for refining, China. Okay, so a concentration of power like that was bound to cause reaction, right? And it has. It's kicked off a whole new geopolitical great game, a global scramble where countries are now making some really bold moves to lock down their own supplies. The last few years read like a series of strategic chess moves. In 2022, the US started pouring money into domestic production. China fired back in 2023 by restricting exports of its critical rare earth tech. By 2024, the EU had launched its own big plan to secure its supply chains. And in 2025, we saw major players like the DRC stop cobalt exports to control prices, while a key US rare earth miner just stopped sending its materials to China entirely, choosing to build its own processing here at home. So the big question is, how do nations break this dependency? How do they secure their own mineral supplies for the future? As this whole race heats up, 2 very, very different strategies are starting to take shape. On one side, you have the path of innovation. This is all about using technology to work smarter, not just harder. We're talking AI to find new deposits faster, developing amazing new recycling tech to create a circular economy, and inventing cleaner ways to refine these minerals. The other path? Well, that's exploitation, heading to the last untouched frontier on Earth, the deep sea, to mine huge, untapped resources, even though we have no idea what the massive ecological risks are. Let's look at innovation first, because this is cool. Instead of just digging more and more holes, companies are using AI to comb through decades of geological data, and it's pinpointing new mineral deposits with incredible accuracy. Take the Mngomba copper deposit in Zambia. An AI model just confirmed a massive reserve that we've known about for years, but was just too complicated to get to. Tech like this can slash drilling costs, and, this is the big one, it can quadruple the success rate of finding what we need. It makes the whole thing faster and way more efficient. And the stakes here are just so incredibly high, because this isn't only about clean energy.
The exact same minerals that power a wind turbine are also essential for AI data centers, for 5G networks, for aerospace, for advanced defense systems. If you control the minerals, you control the future of technology. And that makes securing these supply chains a matter of national security.
This all brings us to a really pivotal moment, a deadline, really, that could shape the next 100 years of resource competition and the health of our planet. The year 2025 is really looking like a major turning point, especially when it comes to the deep ocean. And this is where things get really heated. Right now, the world is completely split. You've got 32 nations calling for a ban or at least a major pause on deep-sea mining. They're worried about the catastrophic and unknown environmental damage. But then you have other countries, desperate for these resources, pushing the International Seabed Authority to finalize the rules and just start digging. Experts are warning that if a weak agreement gets rushed through this year, it could unleash an era of exploitation that could permanently damage our oceans. And so that leaves us with a fundamental choice, doesn't it? As we're building this world of tomorrow, are we going to innovate our way out of this on the surface? Or will our hunger for resources push us to exploit the deepest, most unknown parts of our planet? The answer? Well, it's not just about our energy future. It's about what kind of future we're willing to build.